Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman on May 24, 1941, in Duluth, Minnesota, and the name has since become synonymous with the evolution of modern music. With a career spanning 6 decades, Dylan has established himself not only as a legendary musician, but also as a profound poet, a cultural icon, and a master of reinvention. Dylan grew up in Hibbing, Minnesota, where the young man developed an early interest in music, especially American folk and blues. Inspired by figures like Woody Guthrie and Hank Williams, Dylan began performing at the coffee houses and clubs around town. His decision to use the stage name Bob Dylan was inspired by the poet Dylan Thomas and his desire for a name that had the musicality and the poetry associated with his artistic ambitions. In 1961, Dylan moved to New York City and immersed himself in the burgeoning folk music scene in Greenwich Village. His talent quickly gained recognition, leading to his self-titled debut album in 1962. Though the album primarily consisted of traditional folk songs, it hinted at Dylan's burgeoning songwriting prowess. His breakthrough came with his second album, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, 1963, with classic tracks such as Blowin' in the Wind and A Hard Rain's Are Gonna Fall. The album sealed Dylan as a voice of the 1960s civil rights and anti-war movements. The articulation of hope, fear, and frustration for a generation resonated deeply with world audiences. Over the rest of the 1960s, Dylan proceeded to push boundaries, releasing such innovative works as The Times They Are A-Changin' and Bringing It All Back Home. And at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival, an infamous decision going electric assured this career. Born of change, from folk troubadour turned to rocker. One of the most impressive things about Dylan is his reinvention time and again. From the folk anthems of the 1960s to the country-infused sounds of Nashville's Skyline, 1969, the music of Dylan is in some sort of evolution. In the 1970s, he delved deep into spirituality and personal reflection through albums such as Blood on the Tracks, and Slow Train Coming. Besides the music, Dylan's persona, cryptic and unwilling to play the role set out for him, has only enhanced his mystique. Be it his born-again Christian phase or his forays into visual art and film, Dylan has consistently defied categorization. Bob Dylan has garnered numerous prestigious awards and honors for his contributions to music and culture, including multiple Grammy Awards, an Academy Award, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2016, he became the first musician to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature, cited for having created new poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. It's beyond any measurement Dylan's influence on music. The poetic words of his lyrics, along with the innovation of melodies and never fear to experiment approach, have been influential for scores of artists from the Beatles to Bruce Springsteen. Nowadays, also, it appeals to new generations. Moreover, songs such as Like a Rolling Stone and Mr. Tambourine Man remain classics. Bob Dylan is a musician, poet, and cultural icon whose impact cuts across genres and generations. From his earliest days as a singer-songwriter, he has represented a vision of how art should sound and exist in society. He is the archetype of the great innovator, both on stage and with every new song he writes, or when he decides to challenge current trends.